And I retired 30 years at Allendale and worked my way up from working on the yard up to, thank God, the warden's position. So feel very lucky to do that. That started something, and like B-Rock said, Michael McCall, I've communicated with him. He's doing well. He's very happy. He's living in another state. He's remarried. He said he has found his happy place. Now, Mike McCall was the Deputy Director of Operations, and he was my biggest supporter at headquarters for the character program. He actually began the program at Perry Correctional Institution. And I went there and saw what they were doing. I liked what they were doing. I brought it back to Allendale, and that's when I got with B-Rock and Felder and Zawaski. And we got rolling, and it ran for 11 or 12 years, I think. Around 11 or 12 years. Best years of my life.
Yes.
Because you people, I opened the door, and all the many volunteers that came in and out that door helped change countless inmate lives. Countless. We have, how many, 7 or 8 here today that have come and hopefully will testify along with their spouse or spouse and testify on, can they see, did they know the man before he went in? How did the programs that you guys provided help them and change them when they came out? Originally, when I was up here, I said that you guys and many volunteers, Riggs, how many hours of volunteer service you remember on the last report you did?
I mean, it was getting
Thousands of hours. I think it was 5,000 hours plus of volunteers
Wow.
have put into the inmates at Allendale Correctional Institution. But I said, you know, you guys touched countless guys in prison. Countless. And changed their lives. But until I heard this lady speak, not only did you change the guys' lives for the better, you changed their families and their relationships and their children. And I imagine their parents and their whole families. So God, how do you count all that? You know, I get a lot of credit I don't deserve. I opened the door. I just opened the door. You guys came in and did the work. Inside and out, you guys did the work.
You were the door.
I was the door, but all I did was open. And you guys and hundreds of volunteers and the programs that you started at Allendale, when inmates left Allendale, they took those programs and tried to start them with other institutions anyway. So, untold thousands of people that you helped live a better life. He's holding one right back there. And she's getting sleep. So, Tom, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Rob.
Went to prison saved my life. So I immediately knew when I got to prison at Libra in 1989 that I didn't belong here. But my choices landed me there, but I didn't realize that at the time. It took years later. So as coming to prison, I started engaging in the same very acts that led me to prison in the first place. Having contraband, selling drugs, engaging in every little thing to make money, right? So time went by and realized that I was hoping one of the guys, they on their way coming. But one guy, he was key in turning my life around, right? He didn't actually go through the character program, but he did 42 years, maxed out. His name was Monroe Slide, and all the old timers here know him as Money. Now, Monroe Slide was a guy that was torturous in SCDC. that he was on lockup at Libra at the time when CCI was still open, but he couldn't go to CCI because CCI was scared to put him on his yard. Now, if anybody knew about Central Correctional Institution, CCI, back in the day, that was the far dangerous, worst prison in South Carolina, right? And they were scared to house him on his yard. But in 1991, me and two other guys got in a fight with the officers on Thanksgiving Day at Libra, landing us on lockup. He kept coming by my cell saying, "Young man, you heading down the same road that I was already on. All that time you got to do, you gonna find yourself, the same officers you fighting and beating up right now are gonna be in positions as wardens, people working at headquarters, and they might determine whether you get out of state." So of course, you know, right then, I was 20 years old. That ain't stick. Man, get from out my cell. But eventually he kept on and kept on. Peer-to-peer accountability. That's the first time I started learning about peer-to-peer accountability. Every day he would come by my cell and hold me accountable. And eventually that thing going, and years passed, went to Allendale, met Mr. Pate, he was a warden yet. I guess about 2 or 3 years later, I got into Allendale, he became warden. And he called 3 of us up, me, Sawaski, who was the third one?
Jeffrey?
Jeffrey, no. Darryl Feldman. He called all 3 of us up and told us about the character program that he would like to start. Give us 2 sheets of paper to outline the character program. And he asked, "Do you think we can get this started?" Well, we said, yeah, but had no idea what we want to do. I said that to say that because I took that same advice and principle and used it. Many of y'all know I just started my own trucking company. And I used that same principle that I didn't know really how to do it, but I'm gonna start anyway and figure it out along the way. And that's kind of what we did with the character program. Started it, figured out along the way, and obviously what it did for me, it showed me that, yeah, I got leadership skills. I got the ability to hold people accountable. And I really found out, I'm really not a dumb guy. I really got some kind of intelligence about myself, and I don't have to follow the crowd. So those are some of the principles that I've learned along the way. I attribute that to a lot of the character traits that I learned along the way, because the police was complimenting me on how professional I was taken. And I was complimenting them on how professional they were taken. So I said all that to say, to let the volunteers know, the founding volunteers that was with us from the start, that all that y'all taught us, all that y'all shared and brought to the program didn't go in vain. And many of us, what you'll hear from the rest of the guys, we use what we learned at Allendale to make us successful today. I said all that to say, to let the volunteers know, the founding volunteers that was with us from the start, that all that y'all taught us, all that y'all shared and brought to the program didn't go in vain. And many of us, what you'll hear from the rest of the guys, we use what we learned at Allendale to make us successful today. And so, I guess I'll let Gary go for 2 minutes.
When we first was thinking about this, we had no idea. We really had no idea. All we wanted was a dorm where we could program and just, be free. Because we was already thinking free. So we wanted to bring it all together so we could actually be free. But to come to Allendale and see what Mr. Pate, Brian, and the rest of the guys was doing was astronomical. They took a family business and made it into a conglomerate. which was a beautiful thing, which was my thing all along. So, I've made a lot of hiccups when I was incarcerated, but it led me to be the man that I am today. I think, without the volunteers, I probably wouldn't be here. I'll tell you, I would not be here. Where's Mr. Ken James? It's been many times he's counseled us. Hey, Mr. Tom. And Mr. Corsi. And Miss Randy from Richmond. Soft skills paid off. It paid off. Reading in the book club that you created paid off. I got out December 2019, and thanks to you guys, I had already had a plan in place in my mind of the places I wanted to go and the things that I needed to do to sustain my not going back to the jail. So I got out, got a job at BMW for about 3 or 4 months until COVID hit, and then COVID hit, and it just knocked out everything. So I got a job at Costco, and Costco is now my home. I'm a meat cutter at Costco in a ring, and I've been there since May of 2020. And the B-Rock was mentioned about the character traits. The character traits play out every single day, all day long. I mean, and they always ask me, why are you so happy? Why are you so positive all the time? And I said, wow, if they only knew. Before I reveal my past to anybody, I offer them the chance to get to know me first. And once they learn who I am, they never ever could even fathom that I was in prison for 24 and a half years. Never. I've always had a goal of continuing the character tradition. So, I've got plans down to try to do some reentry programs once I get settled. But the most important thing that happened to me is that I met my wife. And and so she's been the burst of sunshine and everything. And so she has been my helper, my real. And so together we will continue this tradition. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for sending me to prison.
God is good.
Yeah, amen.
All the time. Well, I was going to say I'm very thankful for the character unit. When I first was incarcerated, I had a natural life sentence at 21, but I told my parents that that's not the case. Don't cry with me, just pray. And we're going to be part of it. The first thing I did was when I went back to the walls, I asked the security guard, I said, how's it back there? Mind your business. So that's what I did. I mind my business, and I went and got a job. And I worked for like 17 years before I went back there. But before the character dome came, I was always on the track of doing good, trying to get out, trying to not hurt my parents in what I did. I was always trying to be a better person than what people were talking about. When I he told me about, I think it was like 3 months, no, about 60 days before I got out, he said to contact him. And when I got out, I contacted Mr. James. And I worked for, he got me a job at a landscape company. I would never thought I was doing landscape, cutting grass and all that. But being a landscape, I learned a lot. Took on, academics, I took on different tasks, became a crew leader, and I was trying to get everything in my brain that I could use later on. So, long story short, I knew I was worth more than what I was getting paid, and I was always doing good and not getting recognition. So, Mr. James, he had spoke on getting my own business. So I said, I might have to quit my job for where I'm going. So I just took faith and God led me to get this business started, go from getting business license and going on and getting property. But I'm gonna make this money with no property. So I wanted Mr. James, I want to get in and Harvest. And so I was working there, and one thing that you know, like in and Harvest, Spice Bush, Swallowtail, St. Luke, Seapine Center, and business is doing good right now. And I'm very thankful for the character unit. I've learned a lot, and it helps out. We got a lot of people back there that don't want to be involved in a closed unit that you can't do different things, like have cell phones and do other different things. But character unit helps you out. It helps a lot. And I thank the volunteers for coming and just being there for us and letting us know that, this coming to the world, you'll be a better person. And I want to thank everybody once again. Thank you, Mr. James and Mrs. James.
I've been out 3 months. And like Charlie Ray told me, I was blessed enough to arrive into. I remember walking across the yard my first night there with a mat over my shoulder and a white bag, and I'm like, is that guy walking a dog over there? And I get up to the dorm, and I see a guy that I was in R&E with, and I'm like, Shorty, what's up? And this dude walks up to me, and he's like, yo. I'm like, what's up? And he's like, we don't do that in here. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, we're trying to keep the noise down. I was like, what? This is crazy, what's happening? That same night I had an orientation. That same night I called my mom. And I remember telling her, I was like, Mom, I was in Canada 1,000 miles away. I'm like, Mom, I think I might be okay. Because of the cheap over there. It was just that night, that energy, I thought I was going to be okay. And I was. And that's how I started. I started at 15 and I was there till 17. And the most important thing I learned about being in the CBU, because I bounced around to 2 other yards, was not just to do my time, was to do something with my time. I look around this room and I see, I don't remember his name, but he was the dude that was going to put the waterfall in. And I remember Rob Cushman, I remember the Bookleys, I remember Ken James, Tom Connor, Martin, Ron. It just blows my mind being in this room right now, because I never thought I was going to get out. So that first day had the biggest impact on me. And there's guys that couldn't be here. I'm thinking of Scott Atkinson, Jeff Payne, other people that we all know in this room that couldn't be here today, and I wish they could have been. But the principles I learned, the things I got out of the program stuck with me through the rest of my time. I went to McDougal, I became a coordinator there. I helped out carry this program as much as I could. I went to Evans, and everybody knows Evans is, it's terrible. But I went to Evans because I wanted to do something with my time. So I left McDougal, which is almost as good at Allendale, to go to Evans, one of the worst level 2 yards in the state, if not the worst, to take a college program. So I went halfway, by the time I maxed out, I'm halfway through my associate's degree in business management, which I'm now transferring. I started in January at Spartanburg Community to take an associate's in computer programming to become legit. I also took barber school, so Mr. Pate, I got you.
Let me ask my wife.
Yeah, so the most important thing is to do something with my time. I'm going through Jumpstart right now. Like Robert said, he went through Jumpstart. I'm going through Jumpstart right now. And it's been a blessing. I'm 2 months in. They started a whole new village out there for guys getting out. It's incredible. I'm staying at one of those new locations. You couldn't ask for more. I told Mr. Pate one of the biggest things I didn't expect is to be happy when I got out. And I am. I'm living a new normal where I can just be happy. I give a lot of attention to Robert here, who really, we kept in contact after I left, and over the last year, he's really pushed me a lot to do good. And all the guys that I'm in contact with, all the guys that really push me to do stuff, are guys from Mountain, right? And I think that's really important. And it all starts, and it comes from the love that we got from the volunteers. I'm so grateful to you guys. You have no idea, Martin. You're the man. Thank you guys.
I thank God for being here. Because if him not being in my life, I wouldn't be where I am today. I also want to say I thank Mr. Payton for the opportunity to change my life. I was a very angry young man when I went to prison. I did 25 years and 4 months, day for day. I came in with an attitude, I had an attitude, and I earned a nickname in prison, Big Brawler. I like to fight. That was the way to defend myself. I kept saying to myself, if I continue to do the same thing over and over, I'm gonna keep getting the same result. That's insanity. So I had to change my thinking and my way of life to be a better person than I am now. Had I not changed my mind and the way I was going, I wouldn't have standing in front of you all saying this right now. The opportunity, the door was open, Mr. Pete allowed us to try it. When he first asked about it, I laughed. I was like, really? You think that's gonna work? I mean, we're in prison. These guys don't want to listen to us. He said, you have a big voice. Talk to him. Okay, I get beat up. You got my back. But anyway, we started the program. I was glad we started the program. It was hard. Brian and I, we sat up many nights trying to figure out how we gonna get these guys to, cooperate with us, listen, just get it started. I'm glad we did. I met some very influential people in my life. Mr. Ken James, he stood by me from day one when we met. He's still been in my life now. My sisters love him, my family love him. Thank you, Mr. Ken James, I thank you.
That's you, we love you.
To all of the volunteers, those that know me, I see you smiling, you know I ain't gonna forget you. I thank you all for what y'all done. I have a beautiful lady in my life now, Maxine, if you don't mind. Stand up. That's my lady in my life. Without her,
I'm gonna give her a chance to talk about you.
she's helped me a lot. She's helped me a lot to become a better person. Every day I try to be a better person than I was the day before. And being in the character program, it helped me with it. Like I said, I had to change my mindset, change my attitude, and I am here today, thankful for what I went through. I'm thankful for what I went through, and I'm thanking you for the opportunity. I'm always thank you. I shared many tears with you because you broke me down. You let me know you are a better person. You did. Mr. Ken James did the same thing. I thank y'all so much. To the ladies in my life, I cried in front of y'all. I was supposed to be the big guy, but I had to share my tears in front of y'all. Thank y'all. I love y'all, and I appreciate it.
I always say, who would have thought? I had traveled a long road to get where I'm at today. I came in the prison system at the age of 17 years old. I exit in 2021. And I went through a long journey. Because I was super aggressive. I didn't have any father figure in my life to show me direction. But, through all of these guys that are in here today, I took a little piece from everybody God created in me. And it was a great example. It was a great experience. And I came into the 2 program, And like I said, I really was resistant of it because I didn't have a desire to, what they call, like, everybody like, man, everything y'all doing is the police stuff. I'm not about that. We always do that cliche statement. But I knew at one point in my life I had to make a change to be able to exit and get my freedom back. And I took a chance and I took a step out there. And entering the True program, it gave me a different environment to, humble myself, be quiet, get my GED, educate myself, and to just to be associated with people with like minds. And that was a great experience. And the experience carried me a long way. Once you gain respect for yourself, others start respecting you. And that was very important to me. One of the most dynamic things about the True program, Mr. Pate, thank you. You had introduced youth offenders in 2017, and there was like, where I became when you was a young age, and you had a lot of influence on guys, and I think that you can make a dramatic change in these brothers' life. So I went and moved in and lived with these guys. I stayed with those guys for 4 years. 4 years. There was from Turkeyville, they had got in a riot back in 2017.
Youthful offenders, what's that age group?
Age 17 to, it varies from 17 to like 20.
2021.
Yeah, 2021. But like if they repeat their sentences.
So he's working with the hard heads that first come in.
Yeah. So definitely it was a big experience because I had to share my life with them. I had to let them know where I made a mistake and hopefully that, they wouldn't make the same mistake that I made and take the same journey that I made. So during the course of that time, you may not remember, Vera Institute had came in and through Restored Promise, and they tried to create a program where they wanted to work with guys from 18 to 24. But they said that Allendale was so advanced that we didn't need it. I think it was 2018, 19, they had a riot at Lee County where like 7 people got killed. So they said it is a much need for South Carolina. Okay. So currently, I am employed by I work for MILPA, nonprofit organization, joined together with Restored Promise. And right now today, I still currently go inside the prison. I still work with the mentors to let them know what they're going to experience. We work for racial equity, we work for trauma and healing, and we work for we work with the indigenous, growth of people. So, we continue to be able to move forward and being able to never leave what we have started. We continue to go in, we let them know like better living conditions, and also we want them we create units just like that was at the Chew. So brothers can have an opportunity to have growth. They still have mentors, they still have mentees. Currently we're in 6 states, South Carolina. I'm currently working on South Carolina State, that's where I work at, but I travel nationally and I go over and I work around a lot of guys. So great experience. I want to thank Mark Elks for being involved in my life. Where you at? I can't see you. Always, B-Rock introduced him to me, and he started letting me teach the mentor classes and facilitate the classes. It took me to a whole other level of life. Trying to squeeze everything in. But the character program has played a major part in my growth. I want to thank Ed. When I first came home, got me my first job. Didn't know anything about painting. But Ed let the man know, he was like, yo, he learned quick. That was a stepping stone in my life for me. But I really appreciate the volunteers, everything that you have done, everything that you continue to do, and everything that you desire to do to be able to create growth for brothers that's incarcerated and letting them know that, they're not forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was 36 when I went to prison. Had some life experience. And a lot of life experience actually. So I went in older, and it was different. And didn't really know how that was going to work out, but I had 10 years. I did 10 years day for day, less 11 days. 18 months too long, but I did it. When I went to Allendale, it was rough. It was an experience. I'd never moves, and then other folks come, and then volunteers actually started coming. And Kairos happened for me. And then the programs come, and I knew some people from the street that had come from Columbia out that way, and Warden Pate got these programs kind of fledgling going and started. And a buddy of mine knew that I had written grants for a South Carolina Consortium for the Homeless, and he asked me if I would help him write some grants. I started writing some grants. I really wasn't trying to get to the program because I was in the handicap program, and I liked it there because I got to help the handicapped folk. And Warden Pate asked me if I wanted to be in the dog program after we had probably earned maybe about 48 grand in grants. And I said, well, yeah. And he said, oh, can't do it till you move to the chief. So there I went. And I left what I was comfortable with was the handicap folk. And I started learning more about myself. And it changed my relationship from Kairos and Celebrate Recovery. It taught me how to have a different relationship with God. And that's what really changed my life. And having you guys come in. My mother got sick in 2013. She 87 Christmas Day. And I've kept her the past 6 years now. Thankfully, everything worked out. And I got out and I got home to her. But from 2013 to March 1st, 2017, I didn't see anyone in my family. And that isolation, that was rough. But I had the volunteers. I had you guys. And I leaned on you. And my whole demeanor would change when you guys would show up because you got an opportunity to speak to someone from not within the walls. And it meant a lot, and it means a lot, especially to the folk that don't have people coming to. That's really what matters. You can isolate me, you can put me in lockup, you can beat me up, you can starve me, I don't care. It was the being away from the family, it was being away from people you knew and loved, or getting to see other folk that actually brought in a very beautiful thing called love, agape love. There were no restrictions on what you give us. It's important to get you guys back in there. Thank you.
How y'all doing? First and foremost, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. He's the head of my life. Volunteers, I appreciate everything y'all have done for us, especially, I guess it was around Christmas time or whatever, the cookies. Oh man. Warden Pate, I don't think bullying was part of the character traits. I really don't. But I had two bullies always coming around every dorm I was in to get me into the character program.
Carter, one of them.
No, it was actually B-Rock and Steve.
Oh.
Every couple of days, at least twice a week, they're in the dorms, trying to recruit. I said, what is this chew program? And Steve was always on my back, man, come on, you want to come here. You want to come get in the program, get in the dorm, we do this, do that. And I was like, well, why? I can do that here. The bullying never stopped. It never stopped until they got me in the program. And because of that, I'm thankful. I'm grateful for those two guys who did what they had to do to get me going. And believe it or not, it changed my life. It did. Me and Steve somehow became roommates, and oh man, it took off from there. We shared many stories, many nights, up late, talking, getting to know each other. And he said it several times, being a better person than I am today, that's what the True program did for me. And that's what I remember about you. That's all I had to thank.
I'm here for 3 reasons. 1, the grace of God. 2, the support network that I had on the inside. And then 3, the support network that I had on the outside. The grace of God because, well, to be honest, I didn't have to go through what B-Rock and Zawadzki and all these other guys did. They came into a dungeon. They came into a nightmare and they had to survive. I didn't. I came into Allendale right when my dorm was converted into a character unit. I mean, I think the day after everyone signed their contract to be in the unit. My very first mentor was actually B-Rock. Pulled me in, had a one-on-one with me. He had to move on not too long after that, but he was the very first person that actually gave me some positive influence inside the prison. God could have put me anywhere. Could have put me in one of the dungeons. And almost every other prison was a dungeon still at that time. But he put me right there for a reason, so that I could do his work. The support network on the inside, well, that's what allowed me to do that. You should be taking pictures, Angel. I could have been involved in drugs, violence, gang activity, but no. There was almost too much positive to do at Allendale at the time. We had beekeeping, we had the book club, we had Experiencing God, we had Jumpstart. I mean, there are literally too many to name. I can't even remember them all, I'm sorry. But there was too much good for me to even think about doing bad. That was how positive the influence was there. And maybe it can be that way again. A couple of the biggest influences that I had while I was there was Tom Connor there and Ken James over there. Tom actually came in and used every bit of his teaching experience to allow us to spread that knowledge to others so that we could have more classes, so that we could expand the program. His TESA program, Teacher Expectations, Student Achievement, I actually took that to heart, and with him we were able to spread that across the whole yard so that others could have that same influence. And when it came time for me to start getting ready to get out, Ken James helped me with Jumpstart. I was able to find housing. They supported Jumpstart and Spartanburg took care of every single thing that I needed. And I mean, from beginning to end. They walked me through every single thing. I got my driver's license. They got me a job. They got me a place to stay. I didn't have to worry. I didn't have to want for a single thing. And I was able to just this June close on my own house. I'm happily married now, and I'm thankful every bit for John, for Allendale, for the program, for my mentors here that have done for me, and God, first and foremost. Because I wouldn't be here without all of them together. I would have been on a much different road. Thank you.
What I realized was I was spending time with each of these men and learning about them and sharing my life with them, and I just realized that they're people just like me and my family, and they made poor decisions somewhere along the way and ended up here in prison, and they're not bad guys. And we'd come back to church and talk about what we were doing, and people would say, "You go to prison and you sit in a room, aren't you scared?" And it was like, "No, I'm not scared. I was never afraid." And B-Rock would always say, "We've got your back. If anything, any guy starts after one of you, we got your back." So I never ever felt afraid. I always felt safe, and I felt valued by the men, and I did feel like I was contributing something.
I can't tell you how wonderful it was to walk on that yard. I mean, other people, like Meredith said, is, "What, you're going to prison?" I'm like, "But you don't understand. It's a wonderful place. It's a wonderful place." And we were so excited we would talk for 2 hours on the way up. We just gabbed away and what were we going to do, and what we talk about the guys and how excited we were going to be to see them. And there was never a moment of fear walking in that place. I think if God ordains to send you, you feel that way. Okay? There was no fear. And I remember the first time that we got in, we didn't know what we were doing, okay? It was just like 3 of us came, Molly and Meredith and myself, and the guys kind of steered us like a rudder. We were kind of floundering a little as to exactly what we were going to do, but they were the ones that kind of were the rudder, and then we got entrenched in it, and I cannot tell you, we were never going to miss a Tuesday unless one of us was sick or the car broke down, which it did, or a ticket, all the many tickets we got going to Allendale. Over the years, from one book to another, literature is a medium where people can share their soul. That's what it's about.
Well, I have a seasonal name. My name is Holly. And people often ask me if I was born at Christmas time, and I wasn't, but November is close enough. Anyway, I wanted to explain that bringing books and so many goods and yarns and so forth to Allendale because of the need for them to establish a library, which I understand they have enough so that, of course, with the COVID break, Yvonne, the assistant, told me this summer, late summer, that they did not need any more books because they had so many, and that the men had, at least at this time, and that the men had organized it well enough with all that they had, over 1,000 books, that they had become so organized that they then had spread around the yard and in the buildings, libraries for each building, and were swapping books around and rotating, so that was very nice to hear.
I first was invited up by Rob to go up to visit Allendale 2015. Ed Berry was there also. And we started, along with a couple other fellows, the Experience in God class and the Man God Uses. And we started with 12. And by the time we stopped, or the COVID hit and so on, we were replicated, the men replicated through facilitation, somewhere between 150 to 180 guys. And there were a couple of times we had Saturday services, and they were all internally led by the men, using the material of one of the chapters or one of the thoughts, and then he'd actually give a little talk about it, and then others would contribute. That's one piece, but I'll come back to that one. Just reflecting on what I heard here, in one of the classes, in the second year of these same guys, all of a sudden, in the middle of the class, one of the fellas stood up and left. Okay, men's room probably, he'd keep going. He came back, and he said, if I hear the word love one more time, I'm out of here. I'm so tired of hearing you guys talking about loving each other. I can't take it anymore, and I'm just putting you out of this. When we drove back that night, it just dawned on us, love. Maybe they don't understand love. So one of the fellows put together a presentation. The next day we went back, and we went through the 4 different types of love, and the one that was not understood was agape. Click, the light went on. Bing, 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 bing. The fellow that said that, within a year, was one of the leaders of the class, leaders of the worship services, and one of the strongest guys, and we'll get him down here one of these times if you continue on with that. But I guess what I would just also reinforce what came out here, the word love. In the name of Jesus, praise God. So agape love is alive and well, but a lot of the fellows in there have never seen it, never heard it, never felt it. So that's part of what we can bring as volunteers, is that whole feeling.
I asked for permission to tell a story about Mr. Williams. I'm the only volunteer right now that is allowed into Ridgeland, and the reason is because of Toastmasters International. My club here on the island, we can't get anybody to show up, so we have closed our doors after 35 years, and many, many ribbons and accolades. It's done. But my club at Ridgeland has 26 active members and a waiting list of 15 people trying to get in. Glory to God. So Mr. Williams was my escort when I arrived at Ridgeland, and if it's Wednesday, I'm in prison. That's what I tell people, and they laugh, and I go, but they let me out. But when I arrived, Mr. Williams would escort me to the dorm where I would teach coloring therapy for the soul, for stress relief, or best self, be you, only better, some resiliency training, why try, and the book club, of course. But Mr. Williams would walk me to the dorms, and I made all the inmates look me in the eyes, because that's something I feel is a character development tool. And so one person walked up, and he wasn't looking at me in the eyes, and I said, hi, my name's Mrs. Randisi, what's yours? And he looked down to the ground and he told me his name. I said, "Excuse me, I make everybody look at me in the eyes. Are you blind?" And he said, "Yes."
And I'm still at Allendale now doing Kairos 18 years later because, just like some of these guys said, we get as much or more out of it than the guys on the inside do. And it is amazing. I've been through 24 of the 25 weekends at Allendale that we put on. We weren't even doing weekends when we started because the warden at that time wouldn't let us. They didn't want that many people in there for 4 days and so forth. Well, we finally got in later on when our friend here got involved. Well, actually, we got in a little before he was warden, but I can truly tell you that in the 4-day weekend, you could feel the Lord walking around that room. It was I see some heads shaking here. You could feel him walking around that room. It was just amazing.
Well, now they stopped collecting books, so I let everybody, but now you might be doing that again. I have sewing machines in my garage, and I collect yarn for them to crochet and everything. So anyway, I love going there. I love going there. And one day I did say to Terry, again, I'm talking out of turn. I'm walking with him, and I said, "Terry, I just love this place." He said, "That makes one of us."
For 7 years, I was partnered with one of the most incredible human beings that was one of the founders, and that's Mike Sinatra. I'm sorry he can't be here today. And of course, with Mike, we were dealing with addiction. The guys that were not only dealing with prison and their lives and that, but they were just trying to survive drug and alcohol addiction. Mike Sinatra was the most human, incredible human being from day one. And I just miss him. I've been sitting here for 2 hours saying, "Mike, where the hell are you?" You know. So I didn't mean to steal the microphone, but just remember Mike. That guy gave his heart and his soul and his life to the prison system, to addiction, to everything, and he loved you like a brother, John. Unbelievable. Thank you.
I'd like to ask Kent if he could make some remarks about Jumpstart and any other thoughts that he has.
Thank you, Rob. I've just been sitting here, listening to everybody, and I'm just, I guess I'm just so humbled. Look at these men around here. Every single one of them I've known for I don't know how long. And the skills they've learned over the years, every single one of them, while they've been through these programs, are just amazing. Look at all of you and the success that you have. You have families, you have children, you have jobs, everything that you probably long for, you now have a piece of that. And I don't know, I've just been thinking about what to say and where to go forward with this, because it's such a unique opportunity, I think, to have all of y'all here, the talent that you bring to this room today.
We have a group that's been over here at 7 o'clock in the morning every Friday for years. Mike walks in and goes, "Want to teach a class at Allendale?" What's an Allendale? Well, it's a prison up the road. It's 80 miles up the road. You can teach a class. I said, "What do we teach?" "I don't know." Now, I've been in education all my life, and I hate somebody saying, "Go teach a class." You don't have a clue on what they want or how it works. So I kept thinking, okay. Oh, I know one. How about decisions? So I walked in the room, Jeffrey Payne, I don't know, Brian was there. He was too young for you, I don't think you were there. Jeff Payne was there anyway. So thinking, how do I start this? Anybody here made a bad decision? So all of us raised our hand. Kind of went from there. So when that was over, it's like, okay, where do you go from here? So I go in his office. Look, what do you need? Where do I fit? He said, well, I got some leadership stuff, and that's when this thing first started. So I met with the leadership group. That was Brian, Swatsky, Kane, a bunch of others, like 10 guys sitting around the room. And I said, okay, tell me about yourselves. We're in at the table. If you'd have closed your eyes, you would have thought you were at a General Motors board meeting. Everybody knew everything. All those guys knew what the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats were for each one of them. And we figured, okay, where do we go from here? We put paper around the room. What are we going to do? How is this going to go? So just like Brian said, you know, I don't know. Say a prayer and hope God takes us where we're supposed to be. That went for a while. Then this guy shows up who'd been a fighter pilot, took a rocket up through his seat, the jet plane. His name was Lee Ozzie. So Lee came in. Lee was an industrial psychologist. He helped get Harley Davidson back on his feet. So we sat there for a couple of weeks, and I said, man, you don't need me. You do this for a living. Right about then, a couple of guys came up, maybe Jeffrey was one. He said, you know what? One of the deals here is we've got to have our GED if we don't have a high school diploma. And we're trying to tutor these guys, and we don't know how. So, this is where it gets tough for me. So I said, okay, so you want to be teachers? Well, we're not allowed to be called teachers. Can't call them teachers. Got to call them facilitators. I said, okay, facilitators. How many guys? 25. I said, you got 25 guys who want to learn how to be teachers. No, facilitators. I said, okay. So I said, next Thursday I want to see them. 25 guys showed up next Thursday. I said, talk to me. Talk to me. What do you want? I know how to do it. I can give you what you need. What I need to know is, what do you want? So in the next year, we put together a 60-hour course. It was way above everybody's head. And I knew they could do it. We went through with the leadership, and they started teaching classes. And they're really good. I would take some of those guys right now and put them in any school. You call it, and they'll do it. This guy over here wound up being one of the leaders. Jeffrey Payne was another one. Mark Bolke's another one. So we just kept getting better and better and better. And at the end of every 60 hours, we'd sit down and do a SWOT analysis. What's working, what's not working, what do we do, how do we change it? And since they were there every day, they knew how to do it. So, second or third year in, I had my knee replaced. So I couldn't go up for like 4 weeks. I go up and I'm walking around. We were in the gym then. We were trying to teach a class here, and they were playing the movie The Longest Day. Okay, over here in full volume. So it's like we were getting long every couple of minutes. And we got through it. Echoes all over the place. And I said to them, you don't need me. They owned the program. They owned it. John stepped in and said, we've got to do something else with this. So we took our 10 guys, we took 10 guys from Lever, 10 guys from Evans, 10 guys from where? We had 50 guys up at Lee? Is that where we took them?
Lee.
Took them to Lee. They had an empty building. Put them in there for a couple of weeks. Went through the program. Took the best of the best. Another 2 weeks, did a train-to-trainer because we were going to put it with 6 other prisons. The warden came after it was all over. We all came back up, and the warden said, I've never seen anything like that in my life. So what do you mean? He said, all those guys, they didn't know one another. There wasn't a peep in that building. Not a peep. And what they've done here in making that program work, you try to open the door? That's really what it's all about. If you can't find somebody to open that door, you're dead in the water.
That's right.
Because you got guys who want to go through that door. And maybe that's Jesus. It's a small door. It's a narrow door. But if you go through it, sitting around here is what you get. Is what you get. Whether it's 5 years, whether it's 40 years. I'm in church 12 years ago, 11 years ago. There's something funny going on.
I can feel this heat on the back of my neck. Service is over, and I turned around, and there are 3 women looking at me. 1, 2, and Molly, 3. Next thing I know, they're right around me, and they says, "Oh, you're going to Allendale." I'm what? Where? To do what? Well, we want you to start a beekeeping program at Allendale. Wait a second. I tend bees in Italy, and I'm a PPB. And I said, "What's a PPB?" "A piss poor beekeeper." And what does Meredith say? "You know a lot more about beekeeping than anybody else around here, so you're going to do this." So she talked about this car driving up to Allendale. I'm sitting in the back seat, and the 3 of them chatting about everything that's going on up there. And I'm saying, if it slows down, I'm going to open the door and I'm going to jump out. Because I had no idea what I was getting myself into with these 3. So I finally get up there, and they introduced me to John. And, John says, "Well, what would you like to do?" And says, "Well, they would like me to start this beekeeping course." So I say to John, "Okay, let's get a couple of people, key people together, and sit down and talk about how we might be able to do this." I go up 2 weeks later, and there are 60 men sitting in the visitors. And I said, "Oh my goodness," I have my little computer, and how I was going to talk my way through this thing. I just closed the lid of the computer, and I thought, "How do I do this, Lord? Help me." How many of you have ever been stung? I want to tell you, everybody wanted to tell me about the first time they'd been stung by a bee. Anyway, it was the start of a long and wonderful journey, and being here together for this celebration is just, really is a wonderful day for us all. We have directed a lot of the conversations and how the volunteers have helped the people who are in prison. I want to tell you, you have helped every one of us. We are different people from the people we came into Allendale the first time. The water gets chummed, we get excited, and we get an excitement because we think we're helping other people. But what I realize is all of you, how much you helped me. You enriched my life, you changed my life, and every single one of the people who are here today, I am sure, would more than agree with me that you have made the world special for us too. And B-Rock said, "Let's make this a celebration." And that's exactly what we are here to do, is to celebrate all of you and all of us and all of the things we can do.